What is up, everybody? It is Coach B, and we're going to walk through the foundations lectures. There are 4 in this series, and today we're starting out with number 1. Now, some of you, this is going to be a review for what you've already been through with your coach during your foundations. And so this is just a great review. Some of you guys didn't get this because maybe it didn't exist when you started, or maybe you came from another CrossFit gym and you just jump right into class so you didn't have to go through foundations. This is a great way to get to know us and why we do what we do. And it'll just hopefully be really fun, cool information for you guys. As we cruise along, write down questions you have, and you'll have my email at the end of this. You can always shoot me an email or ask your favorite coach, hey, what does this mean? So, foundations number 1. This is set up to kind of just get to know us and CrossFit a little bit so you can understand where we're going and why we do what we do. So, in this one, we are going to address the top 2 questions that we get when people start at our gym. The first one is, what does E.L.M stand for? And the second one is, what is CrossFit? Why is it different, and what are we doing here? Okay. So the first thing is, what does E.L.M stand for? Well, it stands for Excellent Life Ministries. We built a coaching practice. We exist to coach people towards the excellent life they've always dreamed of living. Now, there is more to life than fitness. And, there's more to life than the gym. However, an excellent life is found in having health. It's often said that a well man has 1,000 dreams, but a sick man has just one. And so we want to lay the foundation, which is why this is called Foundations, for an excellent life. And that begins with excellent health. And so we're going to help you build that by building excellent fitness, because if you have fitness, you have a hedge against sickness, right? You have sickness, you have fitness, and right in the middle, you have wellness. So if you're well and you get sick, man, it gets really tough really fast. But if you're fit, you just kind of fall back to well, and then you can go right back to fit. So we're going to try and build a hedge using CrossFit. Now, how did we come up with this idea of how to do that from an excellent standpoint? Well, here's what we believe. We believe that if you reframe the way you train, the way you eat, the way you sleep, and the way you think, you can lay the foundations for the life that you've always dreamed of, pass the test of life, and live excellent. And so that's what we're after. So you got the test up there: train, eat, sleep, think. We're going to show you how to do that. Okay. And we're going to do that with CrossFit. But what is CrossFit? Well, CrossFit is constantly varied functional movement performed at relatively high intensity to increase work capacity across broad time and modal domains. And I know that sounds really nerdy, and it's kind of meant to, but here's what it means. The second half of that statement: work capacity across broad time and modal domains is what fitness is. CrossFit is the first entity in the entire history of the fitness industry to actually define fitness. And fitness is your work capacity, meaning your ability to do work across broad time and modal domains, meaning we want to be able to do things that take a long time, or maybe that's a sprint, it's a really short time frame. We want to be able to do both time domains and all of the time domains in between. We also want to have broad modal domains, meaning I want to be able to do a lot of different kinds of things. Like, we all have those friends that go to the gym all the time. They're really, really strong, but ask them to run, 400 meters, and they couldn't do it, or at least they couldn't do it well. We want to build a fitness that allows us to lift heavy, have really good endurance, be able to move our bodies really well, and all of those things in between on any time scale that you can imagine. And so we're going to use CrossFit, and that's what we're going to talk about in a second, to build up or increase our capacity across those things. And we're going to do that with, this is what CrossFit is: constantly varied functional movement performed at relatively high intensities. What does all that mean? Well, first of all, we have constant variance, and we're really specific here. It's varied, but it's not random. There's going to be days where you come into the gym and you look at the workout and you just be like, what are we? This is so random. What are we doing? It's not random. There is planned, intentional variance to the way we train in CrossFit. We're trying to be good at a lot of things all at the same time. And so the way you do that best is by creating variance in your training so that we can build capacity across all of those varied places. And we do it in a very specific, planned way. Now, we do that with functional movements. Now, what is a functional movement? It's a buzz term in the fitness industry, like this is functional and this is functional and this is functional. We define functional as things, as movements that replicate and assist in everyday life. They're irreducible movements. They tend to be multi-joint in nature. And it's stuff that you could look outside of life and go, okay, yeah, that would actually really help me in real life. Now, there's a few things that we do in CrossFit that kind of assist in those other movements, but you wouldn't really do them in real life. But for the most part, in CrossFit, we do things that assist in everyday life. So I'll give you an example. If you bend over to pick up your keys, you just did a deadlift. If you've ever been the person that's had to put like the big bag of dog food from the ground and then you pick it up to your shoulder and you have to put it up on the top shelf, we just did a clean and jerk. We don't think about that in our regular life, like, hey, this is what this movement pattern is. We just do them. So in CrossFit, we're going to teach you how to do those things with good form, so you're never the guy or the girl that, throws out your back picking up your keys. All right. Now, we're going to cause change in those things using intensity. Intensity is the variable in life that is most associated with rapid change. And that's what we're going to try and do. We're going to try to create relatively rapid change, and we're going to use that with a relatively high intensity. Now, I want you to notice it is high intensity, not maximum intensity. CrossFit kind of has a reputation that it's like all out and everything you've got. Not really, right? If I'm working out on a scale of 1 to 10, most of our training sessions are going to be a 6, a 7, or an 8. Okay. We're going to reserve 9 and 10 for the very occasional test, or maybe we go to a competition, or maybe we're going to run a race, or maybe there's some real life situations that cause that adrenaline to hit and it puts us at a 10 automatically. We're going to set 9s and 10s aside, do those very sparingly. We're going to spend the bulk of our training, like 90 to 95% of our training, we're going to spend in that 6, 7, 8 range, and we're going to train our body to deal with that there. Now, it's also relative. So the high intensity is what we're after, but it's going to be relative intensity. What do I mean by relative? Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, if we're supposed to be at a 7 for any given workout, your 7 and my 7 and your workout buddy's 7 are all going to look a little different. And it's going to look different day to day, depending on what's going on. Like if you didn't sleep well, if you had a sick kid, if you're stressed out about work, like all of those different variables are going to change on a daily basis. So your 7 on Monday and your 7 on Thursday might look a little different, and that's okay. So it's going to be relative to your actual ability level. It's also going to be relative to the day, depending on what's going on in life. We're still going to search for that high intensity every time we train so that we can cause the change we want to change. So that's what we're going to do. That's what CrossFit is and how we use CrossFit. So how do we use that to build our fitness? That's what we're going to talk about last in this presentation. Now, if you look at this, it looks like there's a lot of stuff on this slide, but we're going to go through each of these really quickly, and I'll explain to you what each of them mean. And what this is this is the theoretical hierarchy of becoming an athlete. Now, notice that it's a hierarchy, meaning that any of these up the pyramid will suffer if the ones below them aren't up to snuff. Okay. And I want you to look at the very bottom of that pyramid. It says nutrition. Well, what does nutrition have to do with training? Here's the thing. You can't outwork your fork. If you eat like an unsupervised child, then it's going to make training that much more difficult. So we're going to make sure that our nutrition is dialed in. Now, the nutrition talk is a part of this series of videos, but it's not a part of your foundation chats. Why? Because nutrition is such a big deal that we have an entire different coaching approach to nutrition. Now, the nutrition video that you're going to get is going to lay out some basics for you to follow step by step and try to figure it out on your own. But some of us, even when we were given the template, still don't understand how to do the nutrition thing. And that's okay. We have nutrition coaching as a part of our gym. It's a service that you can add. You can work with one of our nutrition coaches. It's going to help you stay accountable to what you're chasing from a nutritional standpoint. They're going to help you build really good habits around your nutrition. And here's the thing, if you are a member of a CrossFit ELM gym, you get a discounted rate on our nutrition coaching because you're a member. Now, if you have friends and family that live outside and you're like, dude, I have this great nutrition coach, they're going to pay something different than what you do because they're not members. So it's kind of cool to take advantage of that. If you need help with nutrition, talk to a coach and we'll get you guys set up. Okay. But no matter what, start paying attention to your nutrition. Now, you don't have to make huge changes all at once. In fact, most of the time we just recommend that, hey, we want you to drink more water and we want you to just start paying attention to what you eat. Don't make a bunch of changes. Just, use the common knowledge to say, hey, this is probably a healthier choice than, midnight Taco Bell. Okay. So that's what nutrition lays the foundation. If nutrition is off, everything suffers. Okay. Now, what does that have to do with training? Well, we start Foundations 1 talking about training because it's why you come to the gym. And so now the rest of this is about how you train, or at least how we approach how we teach you guys to train. And it starts off with something called Metcon, which is metabolic conditioning. And the reason it's right next to nutrition is because it's metabolic. How good is your body at turning food into energy? We're gonna try and make that system as efficient as possible. How? By conditioning it to do that. What do I mean by conditioning? It's cardio, guys. If you have a really strong heart and lungs, you can grit your way through just about anything. So we're going to make sure that we have strong heart and lungs. Almost every CrossFit workout you do will have some kind of metabolic conditioning aspect to it, aka some kind of cardio aspect to it. Okay. So as we start building our heart and lungs, now the next thing up the pyramid is what we call gymnastics. Okay. Now, when you think of gymnastics, well, at least when I think that word, the thing that pops into my head is the Olympics, right? Watching Team USA go win the gold and Simone Biles and all those girls that can do incredible things. And now men's gymnastics is getting really cool. That is definitely gymnastics. That's really high level, elite level gymnastics. But what gymnastics is at its core is control over your own body. Some of you guys might know it as calisthenics. It's things like sit-ups and push-ups and squats and pull-ups, all the way up to, like, in CrossFit, we use gymnastics rings to learn how to use, our arms independently. Anytime you're moving your body through space, you're doing gymnastics. That's what it is. So we're going to get really good at controlling our body through space. Once we're good at that, now we can move up the chain again to the next thing, which is weightlifting and throwing. So if gymnastics is control of your own body, weightlifting is control of things not your body. So it can be barbells and dumbbells and kettlebells, but it's also the big bag of dog food and trying to keep our pets contained and unruly children through the grocery store, like controlling things that aren't us in space. Okay. And I want you guys to notice something here. It's weightlifting and throwing. Why throwing? Well, throwing usually involves an object, not us. And since that's the case, it's weightlifting, but throwing now adds in a little element of accuracy. If I'm going to throw something, it has to be accurate. So we're moving something, not us, through space very accurately. That's throwing. So they live together. Okay. And we're going to train those things very well. The other thing I want you to notice is this is weightlifting, all one word. It's not lifting weights, although there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you do at, like, any Globo gym that you can think of, Planet Fitness, Choose Fitness, Golds, whatever. Okay. Those things have their place and they're very, very good and it's wonderful. Okay. But it's not weightlifting. Weightlifting itself is a sport. It's what you see at the Olympics. The clean and jerk and the snatch are two of the biggest weightlifting movements. But it also incorporates things like powerlifting. So we're going to think about clean and jerk, snatch, and we're also going to think about squats and heavy presses and deadlifts. We're going to get really good at those things. Okay. So once we have all of that contained, the very top of this pyramid is sport. It says sport. Well, what do I mean by sport? Well, it could be actual sports. Like maybe you're somebody who likes to go and play in a men's league or a women's league. They like going to the rec and playing pickup basketball. Um, that's really cool. Like my kids play lacrosse, and I got talked into being on the old man lacrosse team. So I got to learn how to play lacrosse. So I'm learning new sports. I'm learning new things, which is fun. But I get to apply my fitness. Now, here's the fun part about that. Because of the way I train, I picked up the sport faster. And in games, because my fitness is so much higher, I can stay out on the field longer than my teammates because they're not as fit as I am. Now, their skill level's higher because they've been playing that game for longer, but my general fitness allows me to kind of hang, and I can stay on the field and give everybody else a break for longer periods of time. So there's benefits to that. Okay. Now, we could also be talking about the sport of CrossFit. CrossFit is its own sport. Some of you guys may or may not have heard of the CrossFit Games. So we've CrossFit kind of took and gamified fitness. And then they said, hey, what if we threw this into a competition? That could be really fun. And we could find out who really is the fittest person on the planet. And so the CrossFit Games is there to crown the fittest men and the fittest women on earth. And you can Google that and look up the YouTubes of the different videos from past CrossFit Games and just watch some incredible human beings. Okay. That's the sport of CrossFit. What we do in our gym is the CrossFit method, all that stuff below, so that we can build a hedge against sickness and have really strong fitness. Okay. But what sport is the sport of life. It's all the things that we like to go and do for fun. It's hiking and skiing and going to the lake and going and running a fun 5K with my friends and doing all of those things and getting to express your fitness and your newfound health in ways that just makes life fun. That's what sport really is. Could it be real, actual competitive sport? Sure, absolutely. But for most of us, it's wanting to go and do those recreational things and not be out of breath 5 minutes in. So that's how we build your fitness using CrossFit. If you guys have questions, my email is there on the screen. You can always shoot me an email or just go talk to your foundations coach or the coach that coaches the class you regularly attend and ask them more about this. And when it comes to any of this stuff, guys, my door is always open. I love talking about this stuff and how what we do from a coaching perspective could help you build your fitness in a really real world, usable way. All right. Have an excellent day, guys, and we'll see you in the box.